Welcome to Postcard English Stories, your friendly space to master English one story at a time. Whether you're here to improve your listening speaking or just enjoy engaging stories, you're in the right place. Make sure to subscribe, hit the notification bell, and join our journey to English fluency. Let's dive right in. The wind howled through the narrow, snow-covered streets of the village, carrying with it the bitter chill of winter. The sky was a pale gray, and thick snowflakes danced in the cold air, covering rooftops, fields, and the narrow, winding paths that led to the heart of the village. In a small cottage at the edge of the village, a soft, warm glow shone through a frosted window. Inside, Anna sat by the fireplace, her fingers deftly weaving bright red yarn into a thick, cozy scarf. The crackling of the fire was the only sound in the room, but it brought a comforting warmth to the silence. Anna was known in the village for her knitting, bright, colorful scarves that seemed to carry a touch of warmth even in the coldest of winters. She lived alone ever since her parents had passed, but she was not lonely. Her days were spent knitting, her evenings watching the snow fall, and her nights were filled with quiet dreams. But on this particular winter evening, as the wind roared outside, a faint, muffled sound caught her attention. A soft, desperate knocking at her door. Curious and slightly concerned, Anna set down her knitting and opened the door, letting in a gust of freezing wind. There on her doorstep, shivering and pale, stood a young man. His clothes were thin and soaked from the snow, his face pale, and his lips blue with cold. "Please, may I, just for a moment?" He whispered, his voice weak and trembling. Without a second thought, Anna reached out, pulling him inside. She shut the door against the storm, guiding the young man to the fireplace. His hands shook as he reached out toward the flames, desperate for warmth. "Sit down," Anna urged, her voice gentle. "I'll make you some hot tea." The young man nodded, too weak to speak. As Anna bustled in the kitchen preparing a steaming cup of tea, she glanced over her shoulder, watching the young man. His eyes were closed, his face weary, but there was a quiet strength about him. "Here," she said, handing him the cup. "Drink slowly." He sipped the tea, a faint color returning to his cheeks. "Thank you. I'm Liam," he whispered, his voice still weak. "Anna," she replied with a warm smile. "You're safe here." Liam nodded, his eyes drifting to the red scarf resting on the armchair beside the fire. "That's a beautiful scarf." Anna's smile widened. "I made it. It's one of my favorites. I love knitting." As the fire crackled and warmth filled the room, Liam's shivers gradually ceased. Silence settled between them, but it was a comfortable silence, the kind that needed no words. When the storm finally began to ease, Liam stood, his strength returning. "I should go," he whispered, though there was a reluctance in his voice. "You can stay until morning," Anna offered. "It's still too dangerous outside." Liam hesitated, but then he shook his head. I can't, but thank you truly." As he reached for the door, Anna grabbed the red scarf, wrapping it gently around his neck. "Take this. It will keep you warm." Liam looked at her, his eyes wide with surprise. I can't take this." "Please," Anna insisted, her smile soft. "It's a gift." Liam stared at her for a long moment, a quiet emotion flickering in his eyes. Finally, he nodded, his voice barely more than a whisper. "Thank you, Anna." And with that, he stepped out into the snowy night, the red scarf wrapped tightly around his neck, a splash of color against the white landscape. Days passed, then weeks. Anna continued her quiet routine knitting, watching the snow, dreaming by the fire. But her thoughts often drifted to Liam. Would she see him again? Was he safe? And then one evening, as the first signs of spring began to melt the snow, there was another knock at her door. When she opened it, there stood Liam, a gentle smile on his face. But this time, he did not look cold or weary. Instead, he looked different, healthier. His eyes were brighter, and he held something in his hands, a small bundle wrapped in a cloth. "You saved my life," Liam whispered, his voice steady and warm. "And I wanted to give you something in return." He unfolded the cloth to reveal a delicate wooden carving, a small, intricate figure of a woman sitting by a fireplace, a ball of yarn in her hands. "I made this for you," he said, his cheeks reddening slightly. "To remember me." Anna's heart swelled with warmth. "It's beautiful. Thank you." Liam stepped forward, his gaze soft. "I have no family here, no home. But if you would allow me, I would love to help you. To be here." Anna smiled, her heart pounding. "I would like that." From that day on, Liam became a part of her life. He helped chop wood, fix the roof, and repair the creaky doors. And every evening they would sit by the fire, Anna knitting, and Liam carving small wooden figures. But as winter turned to spring and spring to summer, Anna began to feel something more. Her heart raced whenever she saw Liam smile, and her fingers trembled when his hand brushed against hers. But she kept her feelings silent, afraid of losing what they had. And Liam, though always kind and gentle, seemed to carry a quiet sadness, a distance she couldn't quite reach. But one thing never changed. He always wore the red scarf, even on the warmest days, as if it were a part of him. A quiet promise, a silent bond, a love that grew without words. The seasons changed, and with them the village transformed. The snow melted away, giving way to the soft green of spring, and soon the fields were dotted with wild flowers swaying in the gentle breeze. But in the little cottage at the edge of the village, one thing remained unchanged: Liam and Anna. Their days were filled with quiet routines, but those routines brought a warm comfort. In the mornings, Liam would gather firewood, repair the fences, and tend to the small garden that Anna loved. In the afternoons, Anna would sit by the window knitting bright, colorful scarves, her fingers moving with a quiet grace, while Liam carved delicate wooden figures. But it was in the evenings, beneath the soft glow of the firelight, that their bond seemed strongest. They would sit together, sometimes in silence, sometimes sharing quiet stories of their pasts. Anna spoke of her parents, of the nights she spent by the fire with her mother's lullabies, of the quiet comfort of their little cottage. But whenever she asked about Liam's past, he would grow quiet, his eyes distant, a shadow crossing his face. "There isn't much to tell," Liam would whisper, his voice soft. "I've wandered for a long time, looking for a place where I could belong." Anna never pressed him, but she could see the sadness in his eyes, the quiet ache of loneliness that seemed to follow him like a shadow. Yet despite his silence, there was a quiet joy in their days together. Anna found herself laughing more, her heart fluttering whenever Liam smiled. And though Liam was a man of few words, his actions spoke volumes, the way he would gently cover her with a blanket when she dozed off by the fire, the way he would leave a wildflower on the windowsill, the way he always wore the red scarf she had given him, even on warm spring days. But as summer turned to autumn, a quiet fear settled in Anna's heart. She had come to love Liam not just as a friend, but with a deep, quiet love that filled her every thought. But she was afraid to speak of it, afraid that it might scare him away, that the quiet comfort they shared might shatter. And it seemed Liam, too, was holding something back. Though his kindness never wavered, there was a distant look in his eyes, as if a part of him was somewhere else. Sometimes at night, Anna would wake to find him standing by the window, staring out at the dark, his fingers brushing against the red scarf around his neck. One cool autumn evening, as the leaves fell in golden showers outside, Anna decided she could no longer keep her feelings hidden. They sat by the fire, the soft light dancing across their faces. Silence stretched between them, but it was a silence heavy with unspoken words. Liam. Anna whispered, her voice trembling slightly. There's something I need to tell you. Liam looked up, his deep eyes meeting hers. What is it, Anna? Her heart raced, her fingers twisting nervously in her lap. I don't know how to say this, but you've become so much a part of my life. I don't know what I would do without you. Liam's gaze softened, but there was a quiet sadness in his eyes. Anna, But before he could finish, a sharp knock echoed through the door. Startled, Anna stood, her heart still racing, and opened the door to find a young boy, breathless and wide-eyed. Please, miss, there's been an accident. My father, he's trapped in the woods. The tree fell. We can't get him out. Liam was already on his feet, grabbing his coat. Show me the way, he said, his voice steady. Anna's fear was replaced by a quiet determination. I'm coming too. They rushed through the darkening woods, the boy leading the way, the wind rustling through the golden leaves. When they reached the clearing, they saw it. A massive tree had fallen, its heavy branches pinning the man beneath. Liam and Anna worked desperately, using all their strength to lift the branches to pull the man free. Liam's strength seemed almost limitless, his face tense with determination, while Anna comforted the man, whispering soothing words. After a long, desperate struggle, they managed to free him. The boy cried out with joy, hugging his father tightly. Thank you, thank you. But as the boy and his father made their way back to the village, Anna turned to find Liam leaning against a tree, his breath heavy, his face pale. Liam, she cried, rushing to his side. I'm fine, he whispered, but his voice was weak. Just a little tired. Let's go home, Anna whispered, wrapping his arm around her shoulder, helping him walk. But as they walked back through the darkening woods, a quiet fear gnawed at Anna's heart. Liam was trembling, his face pale, and though he tried to smile, his strength seemed to be fading. When they finally reached the cottage, Anna helped him to the chair by the fire, covering him with a warm blanket. Please rest. I'll make you some tea, she whispered, her voice filled with worry. Liam's eyes met hers, and for the first time, she saw it clearly, not just tiredness, but pain. And beneath it, a quiet fear. Anna. Liam whispered, his voice a trembling whisper. There's something I need to tell you. But before he could speak, his eyes closed and his breathing softened, falling into a restless sleep. Anna sat by his side, her heart pounding, her mind racing. What was he hiding? What was the darkness she saw in his eyes? And as the fire crackled softly, she reached out gently, brushing her fingers against the red scarf. He still wore the scarf she had given him, a promise of warmth, of comfort, of something more. But as the night deepened, so did the shadows around her, and in her heart, a quiet fear began to grow. Morning light seeped through the frosted window, casting a pale glow across the room. Anna sat by the fire, her gaze never leaving Liam. His face was still pale, his breathing steady but shallow. The red scarf she had given him lay across his chest, a splash of color against the soft gray of the blanket. Hours passed, and finally Liam stirred. His eyes fluttered open, and for a moment he seemed lost. But then his gaze met Anna's, and a faint, weary smile touched his lips. You're awake, Anna whispered, relief flooding her voice. Liam tried to sit up, but a sharp pain crossed his face. I'm sorry, he whispered, his voice weak. I didn't want you to worry. Liam, please, tell me what's wrong. Anna pleaded, tears shimmering in her eyes. I've seen it for months now, the tiredness, the way you stare into the night. Please, I need to know. Liam's gaze softened, but his shadow crossed his face. There's so much I've never told you, so much I've tried to leave behind. He took a deep breath, his fingers brushing against the red scarf. Years ago, I was a soldier. I fought in a war far from here. I saw things I can never forget. I lost everything. My family, my friends, everything I loved. Anna's heart ached. Liam, when the war ended, I wandered lost. I tried to outrun the memories, the guilt, but they followed me. I came to this village because I thought it would be a place where I could disappear. But then I met you. Tears slipped down Anna's cheeks. You don't have to disappear, Liam. You don't have to be alone. Liam's hand reached out trembling, and Anna clasped it in hers. But that's just it, Anna. I was afraid. Afraid that if I let myself love again, I would lose it. That if I stayed with you, I would only bring you pain. You are not a burden. You are not a curse. Anna whispered, her voice fierce with emotion. You are kind and gentle, and I love you. The words hung between them, a soft, trembling truth. Liam's eyes filled with tears. Anna. But before he could speak, another sharp knock echoed through the door. Startled, Anna stood wiping her tears and opened the door to find the village doctor, an elderly man with a kind, weathered face. Anna, I heard Liam wasn't well. May I come in? The doctor asked. Please, Anna whispered, stepping aside. The doctor approached Liam gently, examining him, listening to his breathing. Feeling his pulse, his expression grew serious. Liam, the doctor said gently, have you been feeling weak for long? Liam hesitated, then nodded. It started months ago, but I thought it would pass. The doctor sighed, his eyes filled with quiet sympathy. Liam, I fear your time in the war has left scars not just on your soul, but on your body. The fever, the weakness. They're signs of a deeper illness. Anna's heart clenched. Is there nothing we can do? The doctor hesitated. I will do what I can, but I must be honest. His condition is serious. Liam's gaze fell, his fingers clutching the red scarf. So it ends like this, he whispered. No. Anna cried, rushing to his side, her tears falling freely. It doesn't end. Not like this. Not when we. Liam's hand cupped her cheek, his touch gentle. Anna, I never deserved you. But you gave me a gift. Not just the scarf, but a home. A place to belong. Anna leaned into his touch, her sobs quieting. Then stay. Fight. Don't leave me, Liam. A tear slipped down Liam's cheek. I will try, Anna. For you. In the days that followed, Anna cared for Liam with unwavering devotion. She brewed warm teas, wrapped him in blankets, whispered soothing words when the pain grew too great. And every night she sat by his side, holding his hand, the red scarf wrapped around both their fingers. But beneath her quiet strength, a fear gnawed at her heart. Time felt fragile, slipping through her fingers like sand. And with each sunset, as the pale light faded through the window, Anna whispered a quiet prayer. Please, please don't take him from me. The days grew shorter, and winter returned with a fierce, unrelenting cold. The wind howled outside the small cottage, and snow piled against the door. But inside, Anna never left Liam's side. She tended to the fire, brewed her herbal teas, and whispered quiet stories to him. Stories of spring, of the wild flowers she loved, of the songs her mother used to sing. But despite her care, Liam's condition worsened. His fever burned hot, His breaths came in ragged gasps, and the light in his eyes seemed to flicker. Yet even in his pain, he never let go of the red scarf, clutching it like a lifeline. One stormy night, as the wind howled like a distant wail, Liam stirred his voice, a faint whisper. "Anna." She leaned closer, her heart pounding. "I'm here, Liam. I'm right here." I'm sorry," he whispered, his voice trembling. I wanted to stay. I wanted to give you more. But Tears filled Anna's eyes, her fingers gently brushing his cheek. "You have given me everything. You gave me a reason to smile, a reason to dream." A tear slipped down Liam's cheek. If I leave, promise me. Promise me you'll keep living. Don't let the darkness take you." Anna's voice broke. "Don't talk like that. You'll get better. You have to get better." But Liam's hand grew weak in hers. "The scarf. It's more than warmth. It's love. It saved me. And you saved me." "Liam, please," Anna sobbed, leaning closer. "Stay. Please stay." But Liam's breathing slowed, his eyes closing. A faint smile touched his lips. "I see them. My family. They're waiting. But I wish I could stay. With you." His voice faded, his body growing still, and the firelight danced across his pale face. Silence filled the room, and silence so heavy it felt like the world itself had stopped. Anna felt a numbness settle over her. Her fingers tightened around but his hand was cold. The warmth, the gentle strength she had always felt was gone. "No, no, please," she whispered, her voice cracking. "Please. Come back." But there was only silence, the wind howling against the window and the shadows dancing on the walls. Time seemed to blur. Anna didn't know how long she sat there, her tears falling onto the red scarf, her heart shattered. The world outside was a frozen, empty void, and the warmth that had filled her cottage felt like a distant memory. But then, as dawn broke, a soft light filtered through the window. The snowstorm had ended, and the pale morning light touched Liam's face, giving him a gentle, peaceful glow. Anna leaned forward, her forehead resting against his, her tears finally slowing. "I love you, Liam. I always will." She wrapped the red scarf around him, a final gift, a final promise. For days the village was quiet. The villagers came to pay their respects, leaving flowers at Anna's doorstep, whispering their condolences. But Anna barely noticed them. She moved like a shadow, her heart a hollow ache. But one cold, clear morning, as she sat by the empty chair by the fire, she saw it, a small, delicate wooden carving on the windowsill. It was of a man and a woman sitting by a fire, a red scarf wrapped around them both. Her tears returned, but this time there was a quiet warmth in them. Liam's final gift. A reminder that he had loved her, that he had found peace. She held the carving close, whispering to the quiet room. "I will keep living, Liam. I promise." Winter melted into spring, and though the world outside was filled with blossoms and birdsong, the cottage felt quieter than ever. Anna moved through her days like a shadow, her heart a quiet ache. Yet in her solitude she never let go of the red scarf or the small wooden carving, the final gifts Liam had left her. But even in her grief she remembered his words. "Promise me you'll keep living. Don't let the darkness take you." So Anna tried. She opened the windows, letting the fresh spring air sweep through the cottage. She tended the garden Liam had helped plant, her fingers brushing through the wild flowers he had loved. She returned to her knitting, her hands weaving colors of life into each scarf she made. Yet the emptiness remained a quiet, hollow ache that whispered to her in the stillness of the night. Each evening she sat by the fire, her fingers brushing the soft threads of the red scarf, her gaze on the empty chair across from her. But then, one breezy morning, as she stood by the garden, a soft voice called out, "Excuse me, miss." A young boy stood at the gate, holding something wrapped in a cloth. Are you Anna?" Anna's heart skipped a beat. "Yes, that's me." The boy stepped forward, unwrapping the cloth, to reveal a small, beautifully carved wooden figure, a woman with a gentle smile holding a red scarf. "My father. He was a woodcarver in the village down the valley. He told me to bring this to you. Said it was something you should have." Tears filled Anna's eyes as she gently took the carving, her fingers tracing the delicate lines. Did he know Liam?" The boy nodded. He did. Liam helped him once during a storm, saved his life. He always spoke of a woman who gave him a red scarf, said she gave him warmth when he needed it most. Anna's tears fell, a quiet smile touching her lips. "Thank you." The boy smiled and left, and Anna stood alone in the garden holding the carving close. But this time, the ache in her heart felt different. Not a wound, but a warmth. Days turned to weeks, and as summer painted the fields with wild flowers, Anna began sharing her scarves with the village. But these scarves were different. Each one carried a tiny red thread woven into the edge, a quiet, subtle tribute. The villagers loved them, and soon they began to call them Liam's scarves. They told stories of how the red thread brought warmth, of how wearing one felt like being wrapped in a quiet, comforting embrace. One autumn evening, as the wind danced through the golden leaves, Anna sat by her fire, the red scarf around her shoulders. She gazed at the two wooden figures on her windowsill, the woman and the couple by the fire, and she smiled. "You're still with me, Liam. In every thread, in every story I share. I didn't lose you. I found you." Her heart felt lighter, the quiet ache replaced by a gentle warmth. And in the village, whenever the wind blew through the fields, carrying with it the scent of wildflowers and the soft rustle of scarves, they whispered of Anna's gift, the tale of a red scarf, a love beyond words, and the promise that even in loss, love could live on.